Stray cat protects newborn kittens. What happens next will amaze you. How will this story unfold? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. In a forgotten alleyway tucked between towering buildings, a stray tabby cat named Luna stirred in her makeshift nest. The nest, constructed from discarded rags and nestled atop an old, rusted bicycle frame, was a fragile sanctuary. Luna's sharp green eyes darted around the shadows, ears twitching at every faint sound. Her heartbeat was steady, but her instincts were heightened, for nestled against her belly were 7 tiny newborn kittens. Each one was barely the size of her paw, their mewling cries soft but insistent. Luna licked each of her kittens in turn, her rough tongue cleaning their fur and soothing their fragile bodies. It had been days since she had given birth, and the responsibility of protecting her vulnerable litter weighed heavily on her. The city was no place for a new family, and danger lurked around every corner. Rats, stray dogs, and the cold indifference of humans. Luna's sole focus was survival, and she would do anything to ensure her kittens were safe. The alley, though filled with debris and shadows, had been quiet for days. Luna had chosen this spot carefully, avoiding the areas where she knew other animals prowled or where humans tossed their garbage. But she knew the peace wouldn't last forever. One afternoon, as the sunlight filtered weakly through the gaps between buildings, Luna's ears pricked at the sound of footsteps. Her body tensed, and she crouched low over her kittens, her fur bristling. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied by the faint clinking of glass. Luna's sharp eyes spotted a figure at the end of the alley, a man rummaging through a trash bin. He wore a tattered coat, his movements slow and deliberate. Luna watched him intently, her muscles coiled like a spring. The man seemed harmless, but she couldn't afford to take any chances. Her kittens squirmed beneath her, their tiny cries threatening to draw attention. Luna gently nudged them with her nose, willing them to stay quiet. The man muttered something under his breath and moved on, his footsteps fading into the distance. Luna exhaled, her body relaxing slightly, but the encounter reminded her of how precarious their situation was. The alley might have been quiet for now, but it wouldn't remain so forever. As night fell, the temperature dropped, and Luna curled tightly around her kittens to keep them warm. The rags beneath them provided little insulation, and Luna's thin body bore the brunt of the cold. She hadn't eaten in days, her strength waning as she prioritized her kittens' needs over her own. The next morning, hunger gnawed at Luna's stomach, but she refused to leave her nest. The kittens were too small to be left alone, their survival dependent on her constant care. Luna's mind raced as she considered her options. She needed food, but venturing out meant leaving her family unprotected. Just as she was about to make a decision, a noise at the end of the alley caught her attention. A small figure darted into view, a sparrow hopping and pecking at the ground. Luna's instincts kicked in, and she rose silently, her movements fluid and calculated. She crept closer, each step careful and deliberate. The sparrow remained oblivious, its tiny beak searching for crumbs among the trash. When Luna was close enough, she pounced, her claws outstretched. The sparrow let out a startled cry, but it was too late. Luna carried her prize back to the nest, her hunger temporarily sated. She tore the bird into small pieces, consuming enough to regain some energy before offering bits of meat to her kittens. They suckled eagerly, their tiny mouths finding nourishment. For now, they were safe. Days turned into weeks, and Luna's kittens began to grow stronger. Their eyes opened, revealing a kaleidoscope of blues and greens. They wobbled on unsteady legs, exploring the small area around their nest. Luna watched them closely, her heart swelling with pride and worry in equal measure. One day, as the kittens played, a shadow passed over the alley. Luna's ears perked up, her body instantly on alert. A large dog had wandered into the alley, its nose sniffing the ground as it searched for food. Luna hissed, her tail puffing up as she positioned herself between the dog and her kittens. The dog froze, its eyes locking onto Luna. It was a mutt, its ribs visible beneath its matted fur. Hunger drove its movements, but Luna's fierce display made it hesitate. She arched her back, her claws extended, and let out a low, menacing growl. For a moment, the two animals stared each other down. Then, as if deciding the fight wasn't worth it, the dog turned and slunk away. Luna remained in her defensive stance until she was certain the dog was gone. Only then did she return to her kittens, licking each one to reassure them. Luna's reputation as a fierce protector began to spread among the other strays in the area. She had earned her place as a mother who would do anything to keep her family safe. But despite her strength, Luna couldn't do everything alone. The alley was harsh, and her resources were limited. One day, as Luna ventured out in search of food, she encountered a kind-hearted woman named Elena. Elena was a local artist who often wandered the city, looking for inspiration in its forgotten corners. When she spotted Luna, she immediately noticed the cat's thin frame and the weariness in her eyes. "Hey there, little one," Elena said softly, crouching down to Luna's level. She extended a hand, holding a piece of bread she had in her bag. Luna hesitated, her instincts urging her to stay away. But hunger and exhaustion outweighed her caution, and she inched closer, taking the bread from Elena's hand. Elena smiled, her heart aching for the stray. "You've got a family, don't you?" she murmured, noticing the faint scent of milk on Luna's fur. She decided to follow Luna at a distance, curious to see where the cat would lead her. When Luna returned to the alley, Elena was stunned to find the nest of kittens. They mewed softly, their tiny bodies huddled together for warmth. Elena's eyes filled with tears as she took in the sight. "You've been taking care of them all by yourself," she whispered. "You're incredible." Elena knew she couldn't take the cats home. Her small apartment didn't allow pets, but she resolved to help them in any way she could. She began visiting the alley daily, bringing food and water for Luna and her kittens. Over time, Luna came to trust her, allowing her to approach the nest. With Elena's help, the kittens began to thrive. Their fur grew thick and glossy, and their playful antics brought life to the once silent alley. Luna, too, regained her strength, her lean frame filling out as she no longer had to worry about finding food. One evening, as Elena sat in the alley sketching the cats, she had an idea. She decided to use her art to tell Luna's story, a story of resilience, love, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her children. She began painting murals around the city, each one featuring Luna and her kittens in vibrant detail. The murals caught the attention of passersby, sparking conversations about the plight of stray animals and the importance of compassion. People began leaving food and blankets in the alley, their small acts of kindness making a big difference in Luna's life. For the first time, Luna felt a sense of security. She could rest knowing her kittens were safe, their future a little brighter thanks to Elena and the community's support. As weeks passed, the alley where Luna and her kittens lived transformed into something entirely new. Elena's vibrant murals drew more people, many of whom stopped by to catch a glimpse of the real-life cats that inspired the artwork. Luna's once quiet corner became a bustling hub of compassion, where people left bowls of food, warm blankets, and even toys for the kittens. The simple acts of kindness rippled outward, reminding the community of the importance of caring for those in need, no matter how small. Luna, ever watchful, allowed the visitors to approach cautiously but never let her guard down entirely. She had grown to trust Elena completely, often greeting her with a soft meow and a brush against her leg. For everyone else, Luna remained wary, her maternal instincts keeping her on high alert. One afternoon, as the kittens played with a bundle of string someone had left for them, a young boy approached the alley. He had seen the murals around the neighborhood and had begged his parents to let him visit. With wide, curious eyes, he crouched down a few feet away from the nest, his small hands clasped together. "Hi, kitty," he whispered, his voice gentle. "I won't hurt you." Luna eyed him carefully, her tail flicking as she observed his every move. The boy stayed still, sensing her unease. Slowly, one of the bolder kittens, a little gray one with a stripe down its back, wobbled over to him, its tiny paws patting softly against the ground. The boy giggled in delight, reaching out carefully to let the kitten sniff his hand. "That's brave of you," Elena said as she walked into the alley, carrying her usual bag of supplies. She smiled at the boy, who looked up at her with a mixture of awe and excitement. "They're so cute," he said. "I want to take them all home." Elena chuckled, kneeling down to join him. "They're lucky to have a mama like Luna taking care of them. But they'll need forever homes soon. Maybe you could convince your parents to adopt one." The boy's face lit up at the idea, and he nodded enthusiastically. Elena made a mental note to speak with his parents later, hoping to find a loving home for at least one of the kittens. As the kittens grew older, their personalities began to shine. The bold gray one that had approached the boy became known as Stripe, always the first to explore and the most adventurous of the bunch. Another, a black kitten with white paws, was nicknamed Socks for her dainty, elegant appearance. The smallest of the litter, a runt with a crooked tail, was lovingly called Peanut. Luna watched them with a mix of pride and concern, knowing they were becoming more independent by the day. They ventured farther from the nest now, chasing after insects or pouncing on discarded scraps of paper. But Luna always kept a watchful eye, ready to spring into action if danger approached. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a storm rolled in. The wind howled through the alley, and rain began to pour in heavy sheets. Luna huddled close to her kittens, her body shielding them from the cold and wet. The rags beneath them quickly became soaked, and Luna's heart sank as she realized the nest was no longer safe. Just as she was contemplating where to move her family, a familiar voice called out from the entrance of the alley. "Luna, are you here?" It was Elena, holding an umbrella in one hand and a large carrier in the other. She approached carefully, her heart breaking at the sight of the shivering cats. "It's okay, girl. I'm here to help." Luna's instincts told her to be cautious, but her trust in Elena overpowered her fear. She allowed Elena to gently gather the kittens into the carrier, one by one, before scooping up Luna herself. Together, they made their way to Elena's apartment, where a warm, dry space awaited them. Elena had prepared a cozy corner in her living room, complete with a soft bed, bowls of food and water, and a small litter box. She set the carrier down and opened the door, giving Luna and her kittens a chance to acclimate to their new surroundings. The kittens were hesitant at first, their tiny noses twitching as they sniffed the unfamiliar space. But it didn't take long for them to start exploring, their playful curiosity overcoming their initial fear. Luna stepped out last, her green eyes scanning the room before settling on Elena. She let out a soft meow, as if to say thank you. "You're safe now," Elena said, kneeling down to stroke Luna's head. "No more cold nights or scary storms. You've got a home here for as long as you need." Over the next few weeks, the kittens thrived in their new environment. They grew stronger and more confident, their playful antics bringing joy to Elena's home. Stripe was particularly mischievous, often climbing onto furniture he had no business being on, while Socks preferred to nap in the sunniest spot she could find. Peanut, despite being the smallest, proved to be the most affectionate, always curling up in Elena's lap whenever she sat down. Luna, too, began to relax. She no longer had to worry about where their next meal would come from or how to protect her family from predators. For the first time in what felt like forever, she could simply enjoy being a mother. Elena knew, however, that she couldn't keep all of them forever. As much as she had grown to love Luna and her kittens, she wanted to find them permanent homes where they would be cherished and cared for. She started by posting pictures and stories about the cats on social media, sharing their journey with her growing audience. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the city reached out, expressing interest in adopting the kittens. Elena carefully vetted each potential adopter, ensuring they were ready for the responsibility of caring for a cat. One by one, the kittens found their forever homes. Stripe went to the young boy who had visited the alley, his family eager to welcome the adventurous kitten into their lives. Socks was adopted by a retired couple who adored her elegance and calm demeanor. Peanut, the little runt, went to a college student who fell in love with his affectionate nature. Luna watched each of her kittens leave with a mixture of sadness and pride. She had done her job, raising them to be strong and independent, and now they were ready to start their own journeys. But she wasn't alone. Elena had decided that Luna would stay with her, becoming a permanent member of the family. "You've been through so much," Elena said as she stroked Luna's fur. "You deserve to rest and be loved. This is your home now." Luna purred softly, her eyes closing in contentment. For the first time in her life, she felt truly safe. Elena's decision to keep Luna marked the beginning of a new chapter for both of them. Luna became a constant presence in Elena's life, her quiet strength and unwavering loyalty a source of comfort and inspiration. Together, they continued to advocate for stray animals, using their story to raise awareness and encourage others to show kindness to those in need. The alley where Luna had once lived became a symbol of transformation, its walls adorned with Elena's murals and its space regularly visited by volunteers who left food and water for the city's strays. Luna's story had sparked a movement, reminding people that even the smallest acts of compassion could make a world of difference. As Luna lay curled up on Elena's couch one evening, her eyes half closed in contentment, she thought of her kittens and the life they had built together. She knew they were safe, loved, and thriving, and that was all she had ever wanted. Her journey had been long and difficult, but it had led her to this moment. A life filled with warmth, love, and the knowledge that she and her family had changed the world in their own small way. As the months passed, Luna fully adjusted to her life with Elena. The once wary stray cat had transformed into a confident, relaxed companion. She no longer flinched at sudden noises or tensed when strangers visited. Instead, she would sit on the windowsill, her tail twitching as she watched the world outside, her new life a stark contrast to the struggles she had endured in the alley. Elena's apartment had become a sanctuary not just for Luna, but for the many animals Elena continued to help. Inspired by Luna's story, Elena decided to dedicate more of her time and resources to helping strays in the city. She started a community group focused on rescuing and rehabilitating stray cats. Naming it Luna's Legacy, the group quickly gained traction, with volunteers joining to help feed, trap, and rehome stray cats. Luna, in her quiet way, became the face of the movement. Her image, captured in one of Elena's paintings, was used as the group's logo. The painting depicted Luna sitting regally with her kittens, her eyes filled with the strength and determination that had carried her through her hardest days. The logo became a symbol of hope, reminding people that every stray animal had the potential to find love and safety. One afternoon, Elena received an unexpected email from a local journalist who had heard about Luna's story. They wanted to feature the work of Luna's Legacy in an article, highlighting the impact the group was having on the community. Excited yet nervous, Elena agreed to meet with the journalist, inviting them to her apartment to see Luna and hear their story firsthand. When the journalist arrived, Luna greeted them with her usual cautious curiosity. She sat on the armrest of the couch, watching intently as Elena recounted the tale of how she had found Luna and her kittens in the alley. "Luna's resilience inspired me to take action," Elena said, her voice steady but emotional. "She showed me that even the smallest acts of kindness can lead to incredible change. And now, because of her, so many other animals are getting the help they need." The journalist was moved by the story and spent hours interviewing Elena, taking photos of Luna, and gathering information about the group's work. The article, titled "From Alley to Advocate, The Cat Who Sparked a Movement," was published a week later and quickly went viral. Donations and support poured in from all over the city, allowing Luna's Legacy to expand its efforts. With the additional resources, Elena and her team began setting up cat feeding stations around the city, providing strays with consistent access to food and water. They also launched a Trap Neuter Return (TNR) program to help control the stray population humanely. Luna's story became a rallying cry for the community, uniting people in their efforts to create a better future for the city's animals. Elena often took Luna with her to events and fundraisers, where the cat's calm demeanor and striking appearance captivated everyone she met. Children loved petting her soft fur, while adults marveled at her transformation from a struggling stray to a symbol of hope. Luna, always patient, seemed to understand her role in the movement, her quiet presence inspiring compassion and action. One day, while organizing supplies in the group's storage space, Elena received a call from a familiar voice. It was the boy who had adopted Stripe, Luna's bold and adventurous kitten. "Hi, Miss Elena," the boy said excitedly. "Stripe is doing really well. He's so funny and playful. But I was wondering, do you think Luna remembers him?" Elena smiled, her heart warming at the thought. "I'm sure she does," she replied. "Would you like to bring Stripe over for a visit?" The boy's enthusiastic yes was all Elena needed to arrange a reunion. A few days later, the boy and his parents arrived at Elena's apartment with Stripe in tow. The kitten had grown considerably but still had the same mischievous sparkle in his eyes. When Luna saw Stripe, her ears perked up and she let out a soft chirp, a sound Elena hadn't heard before. Stripe, recognizing his mother, bounded over to her, rubbing against her side and purring loudly. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder of the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. The reunion was brief, but it left a lasting impression on everyone present. The boy and his parents left with smiles on their faces, promising to visit again soon. Luna, though back to her usual routine, seemed more at peace, as if seeing Stripe had brought her a sense of closure. As Luna's legacy continued to grow, Elena began dreaming of opening a dedicated shelter for stray cats, a place where they could receive medical care, food, and love while waiting for their forever homes. The idea was ambitious, but Elena believed in the power of the community she had built. She started a fundraising campaign, sharing Luna's story once again to rally support. The response was overwhelming. Donations poured in, along with offers of help from volunteers, veterinarians, and even local businesses. Within months, Elena had raised enough money to lease a space and begin renovations. The shelter, named Luna's Haven, opened its doors on a sunny spring morning. The building was bright and welcoming, with cozy spaces for the cats to lounge, play, and explore. Murals of Luna and her kittens adorned the walls, a constant reminder of the story that had started it all. Luna was the first cat to enter the shelter, her paws patting softly across the clean floors. She sniffed the air, her green eyes taking in the space that would soon be filled with cats in need. Elena watched her with pride, knowing that Luna's journey had come full circle. The shelter quickly became a hub of activity. Cats of all ages and backgrounds were brought in, each with their own story of struggle and survival. Volunteers worked tirelessly to care for them, while visitors came in search of a new furry friend to welcome into their homes. Luna, though technically retired from her life as a stray, remained an active part of the shelter. She often greeted new arrivals with a gentle nuzzle, her presence reassuring them that they were safe. She had become a mother figure not just to her own kittens, but to countless other cats who passed through the shelter's doors. One day, as Elena reviewed adoption applications, she noticed a familiar name. It was from the college student who had adopted Peanut, the runt of Luna's litter. The student wrote about how Peanut had become her constant companion, bringing joy and comfort during her stressful studies. "I saw that you opened a shelter," the student wrote. "I'd love to volunteer and help out in any way I can. Peanut and I are both so grateful for everything you've done." Elena's eyes filled with tears as she read the message. The ripple effect of Luna's story continued to grow, touching lives in ways she could never have imagined. Years later, as Luna lay curled up on a sun-drenched windowsill, Elena reflected on the incredible journey they had shared. The shelter was thriving, with hundreds of cats finding homes and thousands more receiving the care they needed. Luna's legacy had become a symbol of compassion, inspiring similar initiatives in other cities. Luna, now older but still regal, remained at the heart of it all. Her story was told and retold, a testament to the resilience of animals and the transformative power of kindness. Elena often wondered if Luna understood just how much she had changed the world, but deep down, she believed Luna did. As the sun set on another busy day at the shelter, Elena sat by Luna's side, stroking her soft fur. "You've done so much, girl," she said softly. "You've made the world a better place." Luna purred in response, her eyes closing as she drifted off to sleep. And in that moment, surrounded by love and warmth, Luna's legacy lived on, an enduring reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can create a brighter future. As the years went by, Luna's Haven became more than just a shelter. It became a beacon of hope for both animals and people. Schools organized field trips to the shelter, teaching children about compassion and the importance of caring for animals. Local artists contributed to the murals, each adding their own interpretation of Luna's journey, turning the shelter into a living piece of art. Elena often hosted workshops and community events at the shelter, inviting families to learn about stray animal care, adoption, and how small acts of kindness could have a profound impact. Luna, now regarded as the shelter's honorary matriarch, was a constant presence at these events. Children loved hearing the story of how she protected her kittens in the alley, and adults found inspiration in her resilience. One day, during one of these workshops, a little girl approached Elena. She held a drawing of Luna and her kittens, her crayon strokes capturing the essence of the story as only a child could. "This is for Luna," the girl said shyly, handing the drawing to Elena. Elena knelt down to the girl's level, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you. I'm sure Luna will love it." She placed the drawing in a prominent spot on the shelter's wall, next to a photograph of Luna with her kittens. It became a part of the shelter's growing collection of tributes, each one a testament to the lives Luna had touched. As more animals found homes through the shelter, Elena began expanding the scope of Luna's legacy. She partnered with other organizations to rescue animals from dire situations, including hoarding cases, natural disasters, and abandoned construction sites. Each rescue brought new challenges, but also new stories of hope and transformation. One particular rescue stood out. Elena received a call about a group of stray cats living in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. The factory was slated for demolition, and the cats had nowhere to go. Elena, along with a team of volunteers, immediately sprang into action. The factory was a labyrinth of rusted machinery and debris, and it took hours to locate all the cats. Among them was a mother cat with a litter of newborn kittens, her situation eerily similar to Luna's. The mother cat was terrified, her eyes wide with fear as she huddled protectively over her babies. Elena approached slowly, speaking in soothing tones. "It's okay, Mama. We're here to help." The mother cat hissed at first, but Elena's patience and gentle demeanor eventually won her over. The team carefully transported the cats to the shelter, where they were given medical care, food, and a warm place to rest. Elena named the mother cat Hope, a nod to the spirit of resilience she saw in her. Watching Hope care for her kittens reminded Elena of Luna's early days, and she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shelter's work continued to ripple outward, drawing attention from larger organizations and even local government officials. One day, Elena received a call from the mayor's office. They wanted to recognize Luna's Haven for its contributions to the community and invited Elena to a ceremony at City Hall. Elena was humbled by the recognition, but she knew the credit belonged to everyone who had supported the shelter's mission. From the volunteers who worked tirelessly to the donors who made it all possible, and most of all, to Luna. On the day of the ceremony, Elena brought Luna with her to City Hall. The cat, now a symbol of resilience and compassion, sat calmly in Elena's arms as they were presented with a plaque honoring their work. The audience erupted in applause, their admiration evident. In her acceptance speech, Elena said, "This is not just a recognition of our shelter. It's a recognition of the power of community, compassion, and the incredible bond between humans and animals." Luna's story reminds us that every life, no matter how small, has value. Back at the shelter, the plaque was hung in the lobby, where it served as a reminder of how far they had come. Luna, however, seemed unimpressed by the accolade. She resumed her usual spot on the windowsill, basking in the afternoon sun as if to say, "I'm just doing my part." Elena often marveled at Luna's quiet wisdom. The cat had no need for recognition or praise. She simply lived her life with grace and purpose, embodying the values that had inspired the shelter's mission. As Luna grew older, her movements became slower, and her once sharp hearing dulled. But her spirit remained as strong as ever. She continued to greet new arrivals at the shelter, her presence a source of comfort for frightened animals. Even in her twilight years, she was a guiding force, her legacy woven into every corner of the shelter. Elena knew Luna's time with her was limited, and she cherished every moment they shared. She often found herself sitting by Luna's side, stroking her fur and reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. "You've changed my life, Luna," Elena would whisper, and so many others. "Thank you for being you," Luna would respond with a soft purr, her green eyes filled with a quiet understanding. When Luna eventually passed away, the shelter was filled with an overwhelming sense of loss. Volunteers, adopters, and community members who had been touched by her story came to pay their respects. Elena created a memorial in Luna's honor, placing a statue of her in the garden outside the shelter. The statue depicted Luna sitting regally, her kittens nestled around her, just as she had been the first day Elena found her. The memorial became a place of reflection and inspiration, a reminder of the extraordinary impact one stray cat had made on the world. Visitors often left flowers, drawings, and notes at the base of the statue, each one a testament to Luna's enduring legacy. Years later, Luna's Haven had grown into a network of shelters, each one carrying forward the mission that had started with a single stray cat. Elena, now older herself, continued to lead the organization with the same passion and dedication that had driven her from the beginning. On the anniversary of Luna's passing, Elena sat by the memorial, a new kitten curled up in her lap. The kitten, a scrappy little tabby with striking green eyes, reminded her so much of Luna. She had found the kitten abandoned near the shelter, and she had no doubt that Luna's spirit had guided her to it. As Elena gazed at the statue, she felt a deep sense of peace. Luna's story had come full circle, her light continuing to shine through every life the shelter touched. "Thank you, Luna," Elena whispered, a tear slipping down her cheek. "For everything." The kitten in her lap purred softly, as if to echo her gratitude. And in that moment, Elena knew that Luna's legacy would live on forever. Months after Luna's memorial was unveiled, the shelter thrived in ways Elena could only have dreamed of. The story of Luna's life continued to inspire new supporters, volunteers, and donors. Schools, community groups, and even local businesses partnered with Luna's Haven to spread awareness about animal welfare and the importance of adoption. The shelter became more than just a safe space for animals. It was a hub for compassion and education. One day, Elena received an email from a filmmaker who had read about Luna's story in the local news. The filmmaker was deeply moved and proposed creating a short documentary about Luna and the impact of Luna's Haven. Elena was hesitant at first, unsure if she could convey the depth of Luna's journey on film. But after much thought, she agreed. Luna's story had already changed so many lives, and a documentary could amplify that impact even further. The filmmaker, a kind and empathetic woman named Marina, arrived at the shelter with a small crew. They spent weeks interviewing Elena, volunteers, adopters, and community members who had been touched by Luna's legacy. Marina also captured footage of the shelter's daily operations, showcasing the tireless work of the team and the joyful moments when animals found their forever homes. As Marina worked on the project, she became especially fascinated by the mural of Luna in the shelter's lobby. The artwork, which depicted Luna with her kittens in vibrant detail, seemed to radiate strength and warmth. "This mural tells a story on its own," Marina said one afternoon as she and Elena admired it. "It's like you can feel her presence through the paint." Elena smiled, her heart swelling with pride. That's what Luna was like. She had this quiet strength that touched everyone around her. The documentary, titled Luna's Legacy, The Cat Who Changed Everything, premiered a few months later at a small community theater. Elena, the shelter staff, and many of the volunteers attended the screening, their excitement palpable. The film was a beautiful tribute to Luna, capturing her journey from a struggling stray to a symbol of hope and resilience. As the credits rolled, the audience erupted into applause, many wiping tears from their eyes. Elena felt a lump in her throat as she stood to address the crowd. "Luna's story is a reminder that every life matters," she said, her voice steady despite her emotions. "She taught us that even in the face of hardship, love and compassion can create something truly extraordinary. Thank you for helping us carry her legacy forward." The documentary's impact was immediate and far-reaching. It was shared widely on social media, drawing attention from animal lovers around the world. Donations to Luna's Haven skyrocketed, allowing the shelter to expand its services and rescue even more animals. Elena also received countless messages from people who had been inspired to adopt strays or start their own animal welfare initiatives. One of the most touching messages came from a woman in a neighboring city. She had recently found a stray cat with a litter of kittens in her backyard and wasn't sure how to help them. After watching the documentary, she felt empowered to take action. With guidance from Luna's Haven, she was able to care for the cats and eventually find them loving homes. "It's all because of Luna," the woman wrote. "Her story gave me the courage to make a difference." Back at the shelter, life carried on with the same energy and purpose that Luna had inspired. The team worked tirelessly to care for the animals, and the community's support never wavered. Elena often reflected on how far they had come, marveling at the ripple effect of one cat's resilience. One afternoon, as Elena sat in her office reviewing adoption applications, she heard a commotion outside. She stepped into the lobby to find a group of volunteers gathered around the newest arrival, a tiny, scrappy tabby kitten with bright green eyes. The kitten had been found wandering near the shelter, meowing loudly for attention. One of the volunteers had brought her inside, and the little cat now sat confidently in the center of the room, her tail curled neatly around her paws. Elena felt a pang of nostalgia as she looked at the kitten. She was a spitting image of Luna, from her striped fur to the way she carried herself with quiet determination. "Looks like we've got a new queen," one of the volunteers joked, earning a round of laughter. Elena crouched down to the kitten's level, extending a hand. The kitten sniffed her fingers before letting out a soft chirp, the sound eerily similar to Luna's. Elena's heart swelled with emotion. "Welcome to the family, little one," she said, scooping the kitten into her arms. "We'll take good care of you." The new kitten, whom Elena named Nova, quickly became a beloved member of the shelter. Though young, Nova had a bold personality that reminded everyone of Luna. She often followed Elena around, her curious nature leading her to explore every nook and cranny of the building. Nova's arrival seemed almost serendipitous, as if Luna's spirit had guided her to the shelter. Elena often found herself wondering if Nova was meant to carry on Luna's legacy in her own way. The thought filled her with a sense of peace and hope for the future. As time went on, the shelter continued to grow, its impact reaching far beyond the city limits. Elena and her team launched educational programs in schools, teaching children about empathy and the importance of animal welfare. They also began partnering with veterinary clinics to provide low-cost spay and neuter services, further addressing the issue of stray animals in the community. Nova, now fully grown, became a symbol of the shelter's ongoing mission. She had inherited Luna's calm demeanor and seemed to instinctively know how to comfort frightened animals. Whenever a new cat or kitten arrived at the shelter, Nova was the first to greet them, her presence a reassuring reminder that they were safe. Elena often thought of Luna during quiet moments, her heart filled with gratitude for the journey they had shared. Luna had been more than a cat. She had been a teacher, a leader, and a source of endless inspiration. And though she was no longer physically present, her legacy lived on in every life the shelter touched. One evening, as Elena prepared to close the shelter for the night, she sat by the memorial statue in the garden. Nova joined her, curling up in her lap and purring softly. The stars above shimmered brightly, casting a gentle glow over the statue. "Thank you, Luna," Elena whispered, her voice filled with emotion, "for everything you've given us. I hope you know how much you're loved." Nova nuzzled Elena's hand, as if to echo her sentiment. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of Nova's presence and the memories of Luna, Elena felt a profound sense of peace. The legacy of Luna, the stray cat who had once fought to protect her kittens in a forgotten alley, would continue to shine brightly. It was a legacy of resilience, compassion, and the belief that even the smallest acts of kindness could change the world.